Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Tier 7 Dutch cruiser Haarlem. So, without further ado, let's get in our commander. We're running Johan Firstner with Jerzy Swirsky and Genichi Mikawa as our inspirations. We have Beyond Range, Look at Me Now, Risk Theory, Iron Feathers, and Air Support as our commander perks. For our build, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 2, Concealment System Mod, and Main Battery Mod 3. We aren't running the Epic module because I didn't bother putting steel into it, but yeah. Anyway, let's get into the actual stats of this thing. So, aerial HE bombs, again, this thing is a Dutch cruiser, has the ability to drop bombs. It attacks with a squadron of 10 planes, dropping 6 bombs each, so 60 total bombs in the payload, as well as 12 kilometers of range. I don't know what the penetration is on these things, but I don't know. I've had hit and miss with this thing. Like, I can land consistently, but I've been shattering a lot of these bombs, whereas, like, at the Tier 8 and Legendary tier, they just don't shatter. Like, they just do damage no matter where they seem to hit. But I've been shattering a lot of these bombs, so I'm not sure if these ones have a little bit less penetration or what. But that's just been my experience. Maybe you guys can let me know more. Of course, we've got defensive AA, and we've got sonar. We've got 3 heals for base, and we've got Italian Unity flag, because if you squint just right, it looks like a Spartan helmet. And then the Royal Netherlands camo. It's fantastic. I love these camos. I've said it enough, but let's move into the specs. 41,300 hit points with a 19% torpedo damage reduction. Aircraft, we are running the Fokker T5s. They have 2,214 hit points with a maximum speed of 226 knots. They attack as a unit of 10, and they are detectable at 9 kilometers. Squadron restoration time is 1 minute 26 seconds. Maximum bomb damage 5,800 with a 33% chance to set fires. All right, artillery. We have a 203 millimeter 60 caliber SKC-34. You get 9 of those, firing out to 17.4 kilometers, with a reload that's pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest. 11.7 seconds for a heavy cruiser at Tier 7 is rough. That's not ideal. Obviously, this has other things going for it, but that's pretty rough. The 180-degree turn time isn't too bad. That I can't speak. Isn't too bad. But 26.5 seconds, 180-degree turn time. HE shell maximum damage 2,850 with a 13% chance to set fires, and AP shell damage of 4,800. It's pretty terrible, or at least it seems that way, for the maximum AP shell damage. So it must be a lightweight armor-piercing shell of some kind. But anyway, this thing... Honestly, I've been enjoying the Dutch cruisers. I've said this, and this is no exception. Like, this thing is a lot of fun. For secondaries, you also got 120 millimeter 50 caliber model 1942s. You get 8 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 3 seconds, firing HE with a maximum damage of 1,700 with a 7% chance to set fires. AA defense, pretty solid, but not amazing. 20 millimeter Oerlikon, you get 28 of those. Sorry. Doing 85 damage per second, but only out to 2 kilometers range. Then you've got the 40 millimeter 56 caliber Bofors model 1936. You get 20 of those, doing 106 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. And then the 120 millimeter 50 caliber model 1942 dual purpose secondaries. You get 8 of those, doing 97 damage per second, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers. So again, not the best AA in the line, but still serviceable, right? Maneuverability, and you get the defensive AAs to buff this when you need it, but you only get 2 of them unless you're running fully packed. But maneuverability, maximum speed 32.5 knots is pretty standard for a heavy cruiser at this tier. Feels a little bit slow because of the rudder shift and turning circle. Not ideal for a heavy cruiser, but again, these are pretty large for their class, and it just kind of bodes into what you can expect later on. 730 meter turning circle with an 11.1 second rudder shift. Now, the concealment, again, I have made this as a meme build, okay? I'm not saying this is the way you should play your ship, all right? This is just how I've been playing them and how I've been having fun. Concealment, 8.3 kilometer detectability by sea. That's absurd, man. This is a heavy cruiser with airstrikes capable of getting within 8.3 kilometers before it gets detected. That's absurd. Detectability by air 5.8, that also comes in handy. Guaranteed detectability is 2 kilometers, and detectability while firing in smoke is 6.6 kilometers. Again, that is pretty absurd for a heavy cruiser. To be able to fire 203 millimeter guns inside of 7 kilometers and not be detected in the smoke screen is kind of crazy. And does come in handy occasionally. But let's look at our stats. Overall, I don't have a very good win rate in this ship, but that's not my fault. My teams have just been that bad. I've played 5 battles. I've lost 4 of them. But I'm trying. I'm trying to carry these taters, but there's only so much you can do. But you can see main gun accuracy, 47%, pretty solid. Averaging almost 2 kills per game, averaging almost 87,000 damage per game. I've had several games over 100k at this point, but we'll show you guys one of them. And you guys will see why I just be like, I can't carry hard enough, man. That's the problem. But my average XP is 1853, which is also pretty good considering the fact that we've lost almost every game we've played. But anyway, let's move on. Armor. So you have a 25 millimeter bow, which means anything 15 inches and above overmatches it. But you do have a nice little belt, which is 50 millimeters or 40 millimeters. So nothing overmatches the extended belt there, but it is very, very thin, meaning that if any battleships actually know what they're doing, they're going to assume by now that these things have an extended belt, and they just won't aim waterline. And they'll just shred you straight through the bow regardless. So keep that in mind. That being said, if they don't know that, and if they don't know what they're doing, then you're going to be able to make people very, very angry with these things. Because you can actively angle relatively well in these things, as you can see with the armor profile. Like, it's another turtleback ship. Again, you don't want to rely on it. It is a cruiser turtleback. It's not the best turtleback in the world. But it can save your bacon occasionally if you make a mistake. Now, with that being said, the armor on the side is pretty nice. 27 millimeter on the outside, which allows you to angle effectively against anything 16 inches or 15 inches or less. 16 inches and above overmatches the 27, but you can angle against anything 16 or 15 inches and below, right? Now that being said, you can angle effectively against 16 inches and above as well, because the armor plating above that is actually part of the deck. Hold on, it's the upper casemate. It's 40 millimeters, much like your extended belt, and then of course 200 millimeters on the Citadel turtleback. So if you angle, you can make some people look really, really bad. Okay, and I've done this up close and personal against the Linen. I've kind of bullied them a little bit. Obviously, when you're by yourself and the only thing you're up against is a Linen, it's going to be a rough day because Linen's tough. It is. And dude only ends up killing me because he got extremely lucky when I went for the drive-by and didn't kill him. Like, he got very lucky. I ended up with 6 overpins and only a single Citadel on his broadside at point blank. Like, that is absurd. Like, that should have been a kill. But anyway, I'm not salty. As you can see, the waterline is, or the Citadel on this is a little awkward. It raises up in the middle, kind of like the oh, what is that new battleship, the 18-inch Italian battleship. Anyway, it raises up in the middle like that, but again, you do have a turtleback to kind of protect you a little bit. But the rest of the Citadel is at or below the waterline, so you're good there. So just right at the center of the ship. But again, that's where your armor is the thickest as well, so as long as you angle, you're going to be fine. Okay? Overview. Sure shot. Shells with a good ballistic trajectory. Again, feels pretty good in the aiming department. The shells get to the target relatively quickly. They don't play around. The armor piercing is solid. The HE is solid. There's really no downside to the guns. They will troll you occasionally, but for the most part, they're pretty reliable. Hidden, good concealment. I mean, probably top of the line concealment. I think the only thing that can even come close would be some British light cruisers and maybe the Italians. I don't remember exactly what the maximum concealment of an Italian cruiser is, but it's pretty good. But I feel like these would give them a run for their money, if not just outright beat them in concealment. And these things have the gimmick of being able to use the airstrikes, as well as that perk that I take in the legendary slot that allows me to, as long as I'm within proc range, so I think it's 8.5 kilometers right now, as long as I'm within 8.5 kilometers of an enemy ship, every other airstrike is every 1 second. Like, every other airstrike that I drop is 1 second. That's crazy. And it is not hard to get within that range. Okay? There's plenty of islands you can use, but the biggest issue that I've had so far has been getting into positions and then having somebody to help spot for me. If you keep them spotted, I'm gonna make a lot of people very angry. But Haarlem, in 1939, Dutch authorities decided to build capital ships for their navy, prioritizing high speed to evade stronger foes like the Japanese Congo-class battlecruiser. The design featured a 16,000-ton displacement, a maximum speed of 32 to 33 knots, and 8-inch 203mm guns. However, the Naval Committee deemed their armor insufficient, and the project was never completed. She was designed in 1939. But overall, I'm enjoying these Dutch cruisers. I hope that you guys do as well. It's a unique style, and like I said, there's lots of ways to play it. There's several different builds out there. You can go full concealment like I do, or you can do one of the other builds for some of the other guys that are out there running them. There are people having some absolute absurd games, and if you get a game where everybody's stuck in and you get some spotting, this thing and every other Dutch cruiser is going to have a field day in that style of game. But with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Land of Fire. And I got to give a shout out to the destroyer that's next to me. They're going to actually do a pretty good job during this fight, or at least the first part of this fight. I don't know what happens after this. But again, we're going to showcase the strengths and the weakness of the Haarlem here. And one of the weaknesses is that AA that we talked about. It's decent, but it doesn't work the greatest for deterring aircraft carrier drops. And of course, we end up against the Saipan right out the gate. And unfortunately for us, our carrier is not. It's the new Formidable or whatever. But yeah, not ideal. Anyway, we're going to push forward, try to get into a position to help our team, and see what we can do. Now, I've got HE loaded initially because, again, my idea was to push forward with the destroyer, hopefully get some shots at the enemy destroyer. There are 3 of them in the match, so if we can get rid of one of them early, that would be ideal. Now, again, this thing has a pretty terrible DPM when it comes to the reload of this particular heavy cruiser, so not ideal in that sense. But what it lacks in ability to do like damage per second, it makes up for in just sheer goofiness when it gets the opportunity to sit back, relax, and let the planes do the talking. So right out the gate, we see a Vladivostok. Now, normally, you'd be like, oh my god, it's a Vladivostok. This is bad news bears. But we take a shot at the Vladdy. He takes a shot at our battleship, which is fine with me. Turns out we got an Iowa behind us. You see, Iowa's shot does a little bit. We get a fire right out the gate. All right. Surely that guy wouldn't damage control a single fire right out the gate. Right? But unfortunately for me, the Saipan has his eyes set on me, and it's hard to miss these torpedoes, man. It's 4 torpedoes, and there goes half my health. Well, a third of my health. But the Skronberg gets himself detected here. We're going to go ahead and take a shot with the main guns. We're also going to try to line up where we think he might end up going here. So we get the bombs dropped out there as well, just to try to hit the destroyer and deter him from what he's currently doing. He gets spotted again momentarily. We take a shot with our guns. We actually hit him with 1 bomb and 1 of our shells. So, again, we're doing everything we can to try to give us the best possible opportunity to give our team the best chance, right? Now, Seattle moves into the gap. You can see I'm already running my sonar because, A, I want to be able to spot anything that's coming through the gap. We know the destroyer was already spotted. We know the destroyer or the cruiser's right there. I don't want my destroyer putting himself in a bad position to get himself heated, right? And then we've got the Iowa behind me. Now, between the AA of the Iowa and me, like, the carrier is not going to have a good time trying to drop us, right? Like, that is a lot of anti-aircraft to fly into. You got a Dutch cruiser and an American battleship. That is a lot of AA. But, again, this thing doesn't have the best AA. It's good. It's okay. But it's not the best. But as the Vladdy once again gets himself spotted, he has put himself unknowingly into the line of fire for just being absolutely yeeted. And because we're within 8 kilometers of an enemy ship, we also get the 1 second drop, which means we get to drop 2 drops on this man and make sure that he does not get away untouched. So he dodges the first set mostly by slowing down, and then of course the second set comes in and just absolutely wrecks the man. Hits him with 12 out of the 60 bombs, 6 of them pinned, 6 of them shattered. But you can see, as I saw the enemy cruiser, the Seattle, starting to kind of poke forward, I was like, okay, well, we're going to deter that by backing up and getting into a position where we can potentially help our destroyer. If this guy comes around the corner, I've got AP loaded, I'm angled relatively well, I should be able to help. But, of course, Seattle thinks better of it, which is probably a good thing for him. But I can't push these guys until this Vladdy is dealt with. If I push into the Vladdy can overmatch, he can do a lot of damage very quickly, and I don't have the most hit points in the world, right? It's not bad for a cruiser, but again, it's not an ideal scenario. So I have to kind of wait until I get some planes back in order to continue to put pressure on this guy. Now our destroyer is dodging torpedoes. The Iowa's trying to get some damage and doing okay damage to the Vladdy, considering it's a Vladdy. But the Vladdy is almost broadside at this angle. So the Iowa should be just like yeeting this man. The fact that the Iowa stops, I know that there was a destroyer spotted in Alpha, but that Iowa could have pushed sooner. But we get a drop here, and again, this is a favorable angle of a drop, and we just wreck the man. 9 full penetrations of the bombs, 2 shatters that time. Gets the fires, and the fires are where this thing actually is going to be a problem for most people. The damage can be nasty too if you get some shots, but you can see the Z gets himself spotted here. Seattle's thinking about pushing again, so I want to put myself in a position so that if the Seattle pushes, I can help my teammate, right? I don't want to leave this guy to just YOLO or get YOLO'd. But unfortunately for the Seattle, like, he miscalculates. Oh my god, that carrier. I'm telling you, the carrier is the biggest problem for me in this entire game. If it wasn't for the carrier, we wouldn't have had any issues in this match. But you can see we get 5 overpens there, shooting the bow, just trying to get a little bit of extra damage on him. He gets yeeted by the Z-23. Now, Z-23, after having played so well up to this point, gets impatient, goes after the enemy destroyer, and they are actually going to trade with one another, which is not ideal. Like, you want to be able to win that trade. Now, I already did damage to their destroyer. Our destroyer's pretty healthy. Like, you just don't want to throw your health away for nothing, man. And you'll see later on that this is a critical junction of the match. And it is going to be the problem with what ends up costing us later on. Now, we're still within range of an enemy ship, so we still get that 1 second drop. So we drop initially, and the Vladdy is kind of driving straight into it. We get a nice shot right across the bow, get a double fire. He's going to DC that, but it doesn't matter because he's got a quick DC, and my bombs are back on their way because of the 1 second reload. And yeah, he's not going to have a good time with this one either. As we get another double fire, that man's is toast, right? Like, he's just not going to survive it. We've also been shooting down planes this whole time while the carrier has been trying to get rid of our teammates. Iowa takes a shot here, but unfortunately he just goes forward around the corner and then eats all the torpedoes and dies. Now, this is where it drives me crazy, because we just saw him launch 2 racks of torps at our battleship, and our destroyer is still going to end up getting killed by their destroyer in the next few seconds before I can get around the corner to help. Now, he kills our guy, and our guy dev strikes him with torpedoes. Again, not ideal. Like, you got to be able to live longer than that, brother man. Like, we need you alive. Yes, trading is better than not trading, but you should have died to him to begin with. Like, we hit him early on, so you should have been in a better situation, or at least just been patient. Just wait a little bit longer for a little bit of help. It just takes a little bit of time. If you waited a little longer, and you'll see I'm trying to dodge this planes. I wanted to grab this cap because this could have been a huge win for the team as well. But this carrier's not going to let me do it. And you can see, unfortunately, we do get into the smoke here, which is good. But that also obscures me from being able to see his plane, so I can't shoot them down. Fortunately, it obscures me from him, so he can't shoot me either. But unfortunately, we're going to roll through the smoke, and it's just too long. Like, we weren't going to be able to capture this base because of the carrier's close proximity. The carrier is literally hiding directly behind the big island right in front of us. Not the little island, the big island. He's just sitting right there, launching squadron after squadron after squadron in our direction, and he is going to be a problem. You can see I'm turning towards the torps here. I've got to try to mitigate any damage here, hoping that he screws the drop up. forcing him to turn, and unfortunately he does not. And that is going to reset the cap, meaning that we also take another 7,000 damage on top of it, almost 8,000 damage total right there from those 2 torpedo hits. But I used my last heal. I can't take this cap because the carrier is just going to continue to bomb me, right? So at this point, I make the decision, I got to go kill the carrier. It's a 3v3. Our battleship is very healthy over there. All he has to do is not get himself killed. Our carrier is still nowhere to be found when it comes to helping me or the team. I mean, he's out there trying to bomb the destroyer, I guess. So shout out to that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing during the whole match. If you look at the difference between their carrier and our carrier, of course, you got one side of it is it's a Saipan. All right, Saipan is literally easiest carrier in the world to play, right? Like you got ridiculous AG bombs, you got a lot of torpedoes that are very easy to aim. So it's a very easy ship to play when it comes to being in a carrier. It's a little overpowered, some would say. But as we push towards him, he's going to get harder and harder to drop us. But again, look at the damage. Like I can't dodge his bomb drops efficiently. Like he just keeps sending them. They just keep coming back. No matter how many planes I shoot down, no matter how much I do, this man just keeps dropping. And he's now bow tanking us. He's reversing away. So we're going to go ahead and send our planes in. See how he likes to deal with some planes. And as he tries to drop us here, again, we're forcing him to turn his planes very quickly. So that's going to be favorable drops for us, which is good, at least initially. We get our clear skies in the process. Our AP that we loaded, I don't know why I had AP loaded here. Once we see he's bow tanking us, we go ahead and we load up the HE. And we're going to be shredding planes, left, right, and center. As they take off, they're flying into AA. Our planes are coming over to start doing some damage, but they're not really doing any damage either. I don't know what the carrier... I don't know if he just doesn't know how to play the carrier or what, but you can see the skip bombs from the new British carrier coming in, and they did, like, nothing. They did nothing. So I'm trying to dodge as many shells, or as many torps and bombs as possible. You can see we are getting a little bit of help from our battleship, but he hits me, gets a double fire. I'm forced to damage control that. And as we try to open up the favorable angle here, you can see I'm also being shot from across the map by the Vanguard. And we take a little bit of damage there. But as we come around the corner, we've got a good shot, so we're going to load up the armor piercing, try to get rid of this man. And this is the epitome of why I can't stand carriers right here. Why? Why is it 8 overpins on one of the thickest ships in the game? How is that overpinning? Right? That is literal water line at the freaking, like, thickest part of the ship. It's obnoxious. And then we overpinned him 8 more times with the follow-up shot, but fortunately it was enough to kill him. But unfortunately, as the Udachi gets in there, he's going to kill our battleship. The Vanguard hits me and, of course, gets a fire. I mean, you just can't make it up, folks. If this Vanguard hadn't got this fire right here, I think that I could have brought this one back. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Now, we are going to utilize the fact that we get that beautiful little 1-second reload again. Well, close to it. And we're going to pin this guy in. No matter which way he goes, he's going to eat a bomb. If he goes forward, he eats a bomb. If he goes and turns, he's going to eat a bomb. Either way, we should be able to take him down right here. But unfortunately, our Hawk goes down in the process. We do end up hitting and killing the enemy Vanguard. But that leaves a fight versus the Udachi. And I have 200 hit points to my name. Any shots from the Udachi kill me, right? Like, he would have to be a moron to screw this up. He has the points lead. I know it looks like we have the points lead, but we have no caps left. He's got 2 caps. He's gonna win this game. I cannot run away because it'll just simply end with us losing the game anyway. Once again, our carrier's nowhere to be found. He's still as far away as humanly possible. He's trying to land some hits potentially on the enemy destroyer, but he can't seem to pull it off. And I know that the destroyer is coming towards me. He's seen how much health I had left. He knows that he can easily kill me. And so, unfortunately, I forgot to load HE here. But, again, like, it is what it is. Like, I knew we were about to be in a fight. I didn't want to switch ammo types in the middle of it because it'd be even worse if I managed to die and not get a shot off. But you can see he does come out of his smoke. He gets me spotted. He gets a shot at me. I get a shot at him. Very accurate. Unfortunately, again, wish I had HE loaded there, but it was an oopsie. Everybody can make one. or 2, but we killed 3 ships. We get our clear skies. We shot down 40 freaking aircraft. Had 18 secondary hits on the carrier as well. 133,000 damage with 12 fires. Like, we did everything possible to try to save this game for our team. But at the end of the day, it just did not matter. Again, if that Z-23 had just been a little bit more patient, we win this match. If I didn't get set on fire by the Vanguard there at the end, I think I win this match. But unfortunately, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up first. You know, that's the way it works, right? So anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this as much as I did or whatever, I'm not going to make you guys sit through watching a carrier miss. So let's skip to the end result. But anyway, I have been having a lot of fun with these ships. I know that a lot of people have been having mixed feelings about them, but 2,131 base XP and a loss. Like, we did everything in our power. But look at the difference between their carrier and our carrier in terms of battle impact. And by battle impact, I mean, dude in the Saipan didn't get any kills, but had 2,242 base XP. Meanwhile, our guy had 700. That is a huge disparage, right? And then, of course, we lost our Friesland, our Z-23. Our destroyers were pretty mediocre there. But let me know what you guys think. Was there a moment that you think that I could have done something differently to give us a better outcome? Or do you think I did everything I could and sometimes you just got to take it on the chin? Let me know. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in the next video.